Everybody loves the Bard, right? Well, in this video today, I'm going to go through how to build your Bard out. If you're maybe doing your first character, you're trying to build out one of the other characters as a Bard, or maybe you want to do one of the generic hirelings from Withers. We're going to go through how the Bard looks at the beginning of the game, going through stuff like race selection, background, origin, stuff like that. Progress through a small conversation on what our 3 subclass options are, talk about the future of the Bard after level 1, then close the video out talking about some multi-class options. You can quickly navigate to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And also don't forget to check me out on Twitch. You can find that linked in the description as well as the pinned comment, where I will be streaming Baldur's Gate 3 and a number of other games. But let's get started here on how to build out your Bard in Baldur's Gate 3. Loading into the game, let's talk about race. Now, this is a single player narrative game, so don't min-max. Don't do what the internet tells you. Play whatever character makes sense for the role play you have in mind for your Bard. But with that being said, I'm going to give you some options, or at least a discussion point on some if you are stuck and just cannot decide. Drow is probably my favorite, or Drow is probably my favorite race in the game. So I default to this one, but there are some items and weapons in the game that are Drow specific, so it actually does make some sense to choose this if you're trying to choose one that would maybe give you a bit of a leg up. Also, you get proficiency with rapier, short sword, and hand crossbow, to the point where I believe you also start with a hand crossbow. Dual-wielding hand crossbows is stupid good for the Bard, because you can just have a martial capability in that you're shooting a ranged weapon without having to use a spell if you want. And they're very strong. You get really good access to good hand crossbows throughout the game. Choosing any of the half-elves are really good, especially the high half-elf or high elf, because this also gives you access to a cantrip. So you'll get access to friends as a Bard cantrip, but maybe you go with an offensive one like a Ray of Frost or Firebolt here, whatever you really want. You do have access to those, and I like that as far as choosing the high half-elf or high elf. Wood elf or wood half elf also gives you fleet of foot, which increases your movement speed by 5, which is always lovely. Now the Drow half elf, I don't know if the Drow race specific items work for them. From what I understand, they do not. So keep that in mind. I'd rather probably just go with the Drow in that case. The difference is, of course, you get different racial features here with Civil Militia, giving you light armor and shields, as well as spears, pikes, halberds, and glaives. Dwarves are great too if you want to go into the shield dwarf and give you access to light and medium armor, as well as all the hammers, and dwarven resilience towards poison, always lovely. You can also go with the halfling, which I don't think people should sneeze at, because lucky is an amazing race feature. When you roll a 1 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can reroll the die and must use the new roll. So it's a really awesome ability too, especially if you go with brave. You have saving throws against frightened. You can go with Lightfoot to give you advantage on stealth checks, or Strongheart to give you advantage saving throws on poison and resistance to poison damage. Halflings are actually a pretty solid small race. And always, don't ever sleep on the Gith. Maybe don't go with the crackhead Gith, go with the female Gith, and you get actions such as Astral Knowledge, which is gaining proficiency in skills of a chosen ability. So you'd gain proficiency in any and all intelligence skills or wisdom skills until a long rest. So it lasts for a long time. You get the cantrips of Mage Hand, but you also get one for jumping. You have a lot of really cool things with the Gith, because you also get armor proficiency in light and medium, and proficiency with short sword, long sword, and great sword. So just so many cool things. Lastly, I really like the Mephistopheles Tieflings, because this gives you access to Mage Hand, but you also get Burning Hands and Searing Blade, or it's maybe not Searing Blade. No, it's Flame Blade. It's Flame Blade. You get Burning Hands and Flame Blade are 2 further cantrips you get as the Mephistopheles Tieflings, and I just love Tieflings. They're one of my favorite races. But these are your race options that I recommend here for Bard. Now, when it comes to Bard mechanics, the big thing to really look at is your Bardic Inspiration. At the start of the game, this is going to give you 1d6 to your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. It's a bonus action, and it uses a special resource called Bardic Inspiration. You'll get multiple charges of these, and they regenerate at level 1 once per long rest. They will eventually get to a point at level 6 where they will regenerate once per long or short rest. And Bardic Inspirations will evolve to do 1d6 to eventually 1d8 to eventually 1d10 as far as their bonus goes. So you act as a bit of a support class in that you can really benefit people's ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws. Do this if you're disarming a trap, if you are picking a lock, if you are doing a conversation bit and you need an ability, a check improvement. Bardic Inspiration can can work in that situation. Or you give this to someone in the middle of combat, and it can help them out with a saving throw if you're maybe going with a combat inspiration for the Valor Bard, which is part of the subclasses we'll talk about in a little bit here. But I just wanted to go over what the Bardic Inspiration does. You also, of course, will have spell slots and special spells that only the Bard, well, special spells that the Bard has access to that other classes can use too, but they have a very set and limited spell list. One thing I want to point out too about the Bard mechanics that I gloss over majority of in this video is the Song of Rest. So you and your allies are revitalized as though you would have taken a short rest. So basically you get the ability to heal 50% of your hit points as if you had done a short rest. So it is awesome. It is awesome because it's basically just a free short rest that you can just kind of pop in, get everyone healed up without having to go back and do a long rest. You get effectively a whole third one if you so wish. For subclass options for the Bard, we've got 3: College of Lore, College of Valor, and College of Swords. This is going to come down basically to the type of Bard you want to be. Do you want to be a martial Bard that focuses solely on your own damage and really beating things up? College of Swords is for you. Do you want to be a martial Bard that gets up close and personal, but also really is focused on buffing up the entire group, helping their armor class, whatever it is? College of Valor is going to be for you. Now, don't think either one of these is strictly relegated to only melee. You can use ranged weapons just fine, especially for the College of Swords, and we'll explain a little bit. Now, maybe though you want to go with a pure kind of caster style Bard, or at least a Bard that focuses more on the casting elements. You can still be a melee or a ranged character with College of Valor of Lore here, if you so wish. Then that is what's going to be your focus. So let's go into College of Lore here first. So when you get College of Lore activated, you're going to get Cutting Words, so use your wit to distract a creature and sap its confidence, but you'll get access now to your additional skills and proficiencies. So that is like the big focus here, is that you get proficiency in 3 additional skills of your choice, and you get your skills with expertise. So you have just so many things happening at level 3 for you because you can focus on 3 more skills or make 2 of your existing proficiencies even better. Take, for example, Stealth. Well, now it's 7. Or take Perception. Now it's 4. Or Deception. Now it's 7. Or we know we didn't pick up Sleight of Hand at the beginning of the game, so let's do it now. And then let's become proficient, and now we can really pop traps open. So Lore gives you a ton of things that make the Bard good, all more bardic. It just makes you more of a skill monkey. It makes you more of a caster by taking advantage of a lot of really cool things. Because College of Lore gets access to all these things at level 3. But at level 6, you get access to magical secrets. And these are 2 non-Bard spells that are levels 3 or lower. I'm going to put a link to an entire list of all the magical secret spells in the BG3 wiki. Go ahead and take a look at those, but you get stuff like Hunger of Hadar from the Warlock spell list, which is a really good one, or Spirit Guardians from the from the Cleric spell list, which is amazing. So College of Lore is great, and you get access to those magical secrets at 6. Every other Bard gets them at level 10, and they are level 5 or lower. But you, as a College of Lore, get it at 6 and 10. So you just get a ton of spells accessible to you as a Lore Bard. Now, College of Valor is still quite awesome as well. So you get Combat Inspiration, which is different than Bardic Inspiration. It still is bonus action, so it uses your Bardic Inspiration, but now Inspired Allies add bonus damage to their next weapon attack or a bonus to their armor class for 1 attack. So you can help them do more damage or help them to negate some damage coming their way with a Combat Inspiration. But in addition to this, you'll also gain proficiency in martial weapons, as well as medium armor and shields. And then at level 6, you get extra attack. Now, if you don't know what extra attack is, that simply means that when you go to do an attack action, you'll do 2 rounds of damage for the cost of 1 action. Or you'll simply attack 2 different targets, whatever it is. You use the attack, and you get it to do it twice for 1 action cost. Everyone gets it who's a martial capable character. Now, College of Swords is, again, more of a selfish-focused college. Whereas College of Valor, you were buffing people, right? No, now you use your Bardic Inspiration for 1 of 3 actions. They're called Flourishes. You have Slashing Flourish, which is attacks up to 2 enemies. Defensive Flourish, which attacks defensively, increasing your armor class by 4 if you hit. Or Mobile Flourish. Thrust your weapon with enough force to push your target back 20 feet. Afterwards, you can teleport to the target. So you get access to these three, and they can be used either as melee or as ranged. As you can see, you can just pop it into range mode, and it gives you a lot of mobility with the mobile one, or it gives you a lot of defensive capability, or to help you do some AoE damage. It's quite nice. Also, fighting styles, you get dueling and 2-weapon fighting. Dueling, keep in mind here, this is not a single weapon. It used to be called single weapon fighting. You can use a weapon and a shield here, and I strongly recommend a rapier and a shield because you're going to get all the benefits of dexterity. You're using a finesse weapon, you get the benefits of the shield. There are a lot of really awesome spell casting shields in this game, and on top of it, I really like a lot of the light and medium armor, especially this is a light armor I have on. Remedial Rhymes. When you inspire an ally using Bardic Inspiration, you gain 4 temporary hit points, and you get this at the beginning of the game. So this is a really good light armor, and you take advantage of having your heavy dexterity modifier here to really pull in a lot of really good stuff here with the College of Swords. So those are your 3 subclass options. At level 6 with the College of Swords, you do get an extra attack that's worth mentioning as well. But hopefully this helps you out. You know, again, spellcaster and skills, a support style melee and or range character, and a damage focused melee and or ranged character in the College of Swords. When it comes to abilities, remember please that all races have the same base plus 8, and then you add, I'm sorry, this is just the base 8, then you add 2 or 1 to any one of these ability scores that you see fit. Now for the Bard, your primary focus is on Charisma. This is where you're going to be doing the majority of your damage from all of your spells, and you'll be doing plenty of conversational options. So we're going to jump this up to 15 and put the +2 into that. And then from there, we're going to decide what kind of Bard we want to be. Do we want to focus on dexterity or strength? Are we going to multi-class into a paladin or a fighter, all sorts of things? I'm going to assume you're going to go pure Bard. So I would go with dexterity. And I'm going to go constitution to 14. And I'm going to bring my wisdom to 10. I'm going to explain these options here right now. So dexterity is going to be great here because it's going to increase our initiative so we can go first, or at least as close to first as possible. It's also going to add to our bonus class, or I'm sorry, our armor class. It's going to take our dexterity bonus and add it in. So your base armor class is 10 plus your dexterity modifier here. So that's 2. Now, when you're using light armor, you get your full dexterity modifier. So let's say that this jumps up here to +3. We would get that +3. Medium armor caps at 2. So even if we switch into medium armor, for the exception of certain situations, we at least get +2 dexterity out of this. And if we use finesse weapons, they use our dexterity modifier to do damage. Examples of this would be ranged weapons and certain melee weapons such as rapiers, daggers, short swords are finesse weapons. So this allows us to do some melee damage and some range damage. Now Constitution is important as well because this allows you to maintain concentration spells. If you look over here at Tasha's Hideous Laughter, it is a concentration spell, meaning that it will maintain itself in play for 10 turns. If I get hit though, I must do a concentration roll, which is against my constitution. So if my constitution is low, I fail the concentration roll and Tasha's Hideous Laughter falls off. Keep in mind, you can only have 1 concentration spell active at a time. So we keep that at 14 to give us both health and help out with concentration. And wisdom we put at 10 because this allows us to get no penalties on insight, medicine, perception, and survival rolls. Because like I said before, insight is very, very important, but so is perception. So having those two not have any penalties is always quite nice. Now when it comes to skills, adding a proficiency to them gives them your proficiency bonus, which is 2 right here. This will eventually evolve to 3 and then eventually to 4 at level 9 or 10, one or the other. And that is crucial because you are a bard. You have access to tons of skills, and then you'll get skills with expertise and you'll get jack of all trades. You have tons of skills. You're called a skill monkey, just like a rogue. And you can actually take advantage of so many different ways to approach this by, you know what? We already have perception and insight. Let's leave those. But I'm going to get performance because I'm a bard. I'm going to get sleight of hand. So now I can pick locks and I can pop open any kind of trap, anything like that. So these things are investigation to help out with me just kind of looking through things. Or maybe I want more conversational things. So just kind of go through these and the kind of bard you have in mind. Or do you want to be someone that's more like Indiana Jones? Well, you know what? We already have persuasion. That's great. Well, Indiana Jones, let's take history. Let's take investigation. Let's take arcana. Whatever you have in mind for your bard, definitely go with the skills that make the most sense for you. Now, as far as your origin and your background are concerned, please go with things that make sense for you in your roleplay or the amount of times you've gone through the game. If this is your second playthrough, maybe go with a Dark Urge. That is a entirely different and unique playthrough of the game. It is custom in that you can make whatever character you want, but you will go through certain things and deal with certain scenarios that you maybe did not deal with before. Or if this is your first playthrough, you will shut off ways to do certain quests by killing certain people or succumbing to your Dark Urge that results in a whole different playthrough than the standard game. So the Dark Urge is definitely an amazing origin if you want to go through more of a brutal or wild playthrough. It is definitely very unique. Custom is what I go with almost all the time. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it for me. But also, if you want to play as any of these characters, you definitely can, and you can respec them to Bard if you want. Even if you choose them as a companion, you can choose Will to be a Bard Warlock, which he is in my playthrough, so keep those things in mind. And your background, too, should be based off of the kind of character you have in mind. Are you a noble son who has become a Bard? Are you a former soldier who is a Bard now that kind of regales and tells the tales of wars long past? Are you an entertainer that has transitioned into a Bard? Whatever it is, there's plenty of backgrounds that you can choose, and these backgrounds will be dependent upon certain actions or dialogue choices that you take throughout your conversations in Baldur's Gate 3, which will award you inspiration points. You get up to 4 inspiration points, and they're very quickly rewarded, so you should be using them as much as you can, but they will give you re-rolls on ability checks, disarming chaps, all sorts of things. So you want to make sure you kind of fit the role play. If you want one that's kind of a min-maxy option, Guild Artisan is good because it gives you insight and persuasion. Persuasion you're going to be using in spades throughout the entire game, and insight allows you to get access to certain conversational things that you would not get access to, maybe either in romances or certain pivotal plot points. So it's a really, really crucial skill in my opinion. Spells and cantrips are going to be dependent upon a lot of things and, you know, what kind of bard you want to have in mind, but I'm just going to give you some recommendations here. Friends is really, really, really good. So you gain advantage on charisma checks against a non-hostile creature. You'd use this in the middle of conversation to help give you an advantage on that roll. So if someone also has guidance, they can cast that, which gives you a 1d4 bonus. You could use your bardic inspiration. You could use friends. All these things just add all these layers to any of your charisma checks to help you out pushing through any kind of pivotal conversation in the game. But then you can also add vicious mockery in here, which is nice just to kind of have disadvantage on its next, the creature would have a disadvantage on its next attack roll, and it is a wisdom save. You can get minor illusion here, stuff like that is really nice. Moving into spells, you have a good amount of really good ones at the beginning here. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is a really good ability. Leave a creature prone with laughter. Now, prone can't move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions, and has disadvantage on strength and dexterity saving throws. Pretty much anything when it comes to range or melee attacks. Attacks against a prone creature have advantage if they're made within 10 feet of the creature, and a prone creature must spend half its movement speed to stand back up. So it's just a great way to lock something down. That's something that the bard can do in spades, because you can get sleep, which is really good in the beginning portions of the game. You basically just put someone to sleep and you don't have to deal with it at all. Lasts for 2 turns. Charm Person is always really good. You also can get Thunderwave for some good damage capability, but also make sure you take a look at stuff like Featherfall, Longstrider. Actually, no, Featherfall. Yeah, Featherfall. No, it's not. I lied to you. Longstrider here, Speak with Animals. They are ritual spells. And Featherfall might be one too, but I don't remember. But Longstrider and Speak with Animals are both ritual spells that last until a long rest. And a ritual spell means that it will not take up a spell slot to use. So you choose this, you cast it on everyone right when you come into the game, or right when you do a long rest, whatever it is. Just take the time, you cast it on each individual in the party. Now everyone moves 10 feet faster, you haven't used up a spell slot, and they have this until long rest. It's a really, really great ability, and I really encourage you to use it to give you a little bit more mobility. But Dissonant Whispers is also quite a good one, because it frightens and does quite a little bit of psychic damage. Into also your starting instrument, just choose whichever one you want. Whichever one strikes your fancy. There's no disadvantage or advantage to using any one of these. It's entirely up to you. When it comes to a conversation about feats, it's going to come down to what you want to improve for your bard. Are you want to improve your spellcasting capabilities, or do you want to improve your martial capabilities? But first, ability improvement is always a really good one. To put 2 points here into charisma, because charisma has a lot of what is called half feats, meaning the feat does something and then also gives you an ability score improvement. So Actor, for example, your proficiency bonus is doubled for deception and performance checks. That's actually really good for a bard because you have probably both of these abilities, and your proficiency bonus doubles for them. So if it was a proficiency bonus of 4, it's now 8. And you get 1 more to your charisma. And remember, you get feats at levels 4, 8, and 12. So putting your 2 points into this and then getting a half feat that adds 1 more to charisma turns your charisma into a +5. That's really beneficial for a ton of the things that you can do as a bard. Strongly recommend it. Even Actor is great. Again, I recommend that one. Hey, my rice is done. Performer is also really good. You gain musical instrument proficiency and your charisma increases by 1 to a max of 20. This is just another way to get charisma. You already have musical instrument proficiency, so you don't really need to worry about it. But it is there. Now, if you want to go into more of a spellcasting route, you can go with Warcaster, which allows you to have advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on spells, like that Tasha's Hideous Laughter, for example. That was a concentration spell, or Hunger of Hadar if you go the lore route. But this also gives you the ability to use Shocking Grasp as a reaction when people leave your melee range. Spell Sniper is good so that you get critical hits on 19 and 20, but you also gain a cantrip. So maybe you want to get Ray of Frost if you didn't choose it before, or Eldritch Blast, or Firebolt, whichever you so wish. You now have those options. Other cool things too are Ritual Caster, which is going to give you 2 ritual spells. Remember, ritual spells don't use a spell slot, and they give you the capability to use something until long rest. So Enhanced Leap, triple a creature's jumping distance. Long Strider, maybe you didn't pick it up before. Talk with the Dead, Speak with the Animals, Find Familiar, all sorts of cool ways to approach Ritual Caster if you so wish. Where's the other one I was going to talk about? Oh, Lucky is really good. You gain 3 luck points which you can use to gain advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws, or to make an enemy reroll their attack rolls. So this helps you get off any kind of big clutch damage hits or any kind of big clutch hits that were coming your way. So either you deal the damage or you dodge it, whichever one it is. Magic Initiate here, and any one of these is really nice too because it grants you more cantrips to take advantage of, as well as some spells from the respective class. They're always very fun. Elemental Adept allows you to do more damage to a specific or with a specific type of element. So your spells you cast ignore resistance to, in this case, acid damage. In addition, you deal acid damage with the spell. You cannot roll a 1, so it can never just auto fail. So a lot of really great abilities here. Maybe you want to go with a dual wielding hand crossbow, go sharpshooter, and then go into crossbow expert. Maybe you want to be someone who focuses on the martial aspect or uses a shield. You go with shield master if you so wish, or you go with like defensive duelist. When you attack while wielding a finesse weapon, which you're probably going to do, that you're also proficient with, you can use a reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your armor class, possibly causing the attack to miss. So there's a lot of really cool ones here. Even athlete is a nice one, just to be able to get up and jump distance increase and stuff like that. So don't feel pigeonholed into only choosing the really good ones or whatever it is. Choose the ones that make sense for the type of bard that you want to play. Now, as far as the future progression of bard goes, 2 big things happen at level 5 and level 6 that I want to jump into here. And I feel like also level 5 is kind of a pivotal point for almost every character in the game, where they really start to feel a good power spike and feel a little bit stronger and a little bit better. For one, they get Font of Inspiration, so now you regain all of your bardic inspiration after a long or a short rest, whereas previously it was just a long rest. And then improved bardic inspiration. The bonus gain from bardic inspiration increases to 1d8 from 1d6 that it was before. I'm just choosing a random spell here to accept. Then at level 6, we get Counter Charm, and I chose the Lore Bard here just to show you what Magical Secrets looks like. So, Counter Charm, you and your allies within 30 feet have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened for 3 turns. So it's a nice way to kind of dodge those 2 things that you will actually deal with in spades in this game. I'm just going to choose a random spell, but this is Magical Secrets. So now I can choose, since I'm a Lore Bard at level 6, any 2 of these abilities that are level 3 or lower from other classes. And honestly, stuff like Call Lightning is really good. Hunger of Hadar is amazing. Spirit Guardians is just so good as well, depending on the kind of bard, especially that you want to be. You've got Haste in this location. There's a lot of... Misty Step is great, especially because it's a bonus action. You have so many good abilities here that you can take advantage of. Spike Growth in conjunction with Hunger of Hadar is absolutely disgusting, but they're both concentration spells, so you cannot stack them. Same thing with Spirit Guardians and Hunger of Hadar. I just want to make that known, so in case you got both and said, well, I can't use both. Well, it's intended. But really, really, really love this capability. But after that, we're pretty much just looking at the standard linear progression of any kind of caster, where we just get access to more spells and more spell levels as we level up. Level 8 is going to grant us access to another feat, of course, all the kind of fun things that we do as we push through the game. I'm just going to choose stuff at random here. But this is going to be true all the way up to level 10, where we're going to get improved Bardic Inspiration one more time. That makes our Bardic Inspiration now do 1d10. We'll get additional expertise, so now we have even further proficiency bonuses, making us even more of a skill monkey. And we get our final round of magical secrets, or our first if we're not a lore bard. But that's pretty much your standard progression as a bard. You just get better and better at casting more and more of your bard spells. You get your magical secrets, you get better skills, and you get a better bardic inspiration. Now, to open up our conversation about multiclassing the bard, it's worth noting that I've already covered some of this in my warlock video linked in the upper right hand corner. And I said, hey, you know, you either start as 10 levels of bard and 2 levels of warlock to do a lore bard and warlock, or you can do like 8 levels of bard and 4 levels of warlock, or you do 5 levels of warlock first and then the rest 7 levels of bard as a sword bard. That's what I've personally done for my will. There's a lot of different ways you can do a bard lock, and it's a very powerful class because you're pulling in charisma. Another cool thing you can do is simply 2 levels, well, I'd probably, 2 levels of Sorcerer. You start as Sorcerer, 2 levels, and then pivot into Bard. And those 2 levels will give you access to meta magic. So you can do things like casting your bonus action, give you increased range on all of your spells. Lots of fun things. Rogue can give you action to the cunning actions at level 2. You'd put 2 levels into Rogue. Sure, you get sneak attacks, but this scales with your Rogue level, so it's not as awesome. The big thing here is that you're going to get access, of course, to expertise out the gate. You're going to have even more skills, of course, and those cunning actions, which gives you better bonus action economy, allowing you to move around the map better while using it as a bonus action versus an action. So, for example, you can dash as a bonus action to let you just kind of get through things. Another really quick shout out here is to the fighter, where you can just drop 2 levels in, get level 1 for second wind. You get heavy armor, medium armor, all these things if you start as a fighter. And then at level 2, you also get access to action surge, which allows you to just get a whole additional action. You're going to grant yourself all of the fighting styles as well. So you can kind of layer these, right? You could go with something like defense. You gain +1 bonus to armor class while wearing armor, and then dueling if you wanted to go with 10 or 2 levels into fighter and 10 levels then into a sword bard, because you'd be granted 2 fighting styles. So a lot of fun things that you can be doing with that. But in this video, what I want to focus on is paladin. So we would start as a paladin. You would take 2 levels here, and we're going to show this off right now. What I would say is I would go with Subclass Oath of the Ancients. You can definitely go Oath of Vengeance. It's an absolute viable route. And in that case, maybe you'd go a little bit deeper into Paladin, maybe a 6 and a 6. 6 Paladin, 6 Sword Bard. But in this case, we're going to go 2 levels into the Oath of the Ancients because we get Healing Radiance. Now, if you're looking at this right now, you might go, well, that doesn't really seem very good. It doesn't seem like it scales well. Heal yourself and all nearby allies for 5 hit points. Regain another 5 hit points next turn. Well, the formula for how this works, it restores your proficiency bonus, plus your paladin level, which will always be 2, since we're only going to take 2, plus your charisma modifier. So eventually our charisma modifier would be 20, right? So we'd have that at a +5. Plus the 7, or +2 from our paladin level, which makes it 7, and at level 9, that would be an additional +4, right? So that would allow us to do effectively 11 hit points for all allies and ourselves, and then an additional 11 hit points after that. So just a free 22 hit points. Very nice as a channel oath charge. Very, very good here. Also, and that's part of your tenets, but we're going to click confirm and accept. As far as abilities though, I would still, even if I went paladin, I would still probably go charisma. Because I'm assuming I'm not going to take heavy armor, because most of the light and medium armor is beneficial to bard, If you wanted to go heavy armor, you definitely still could. You definitely could just go strength if you so wish. I would probably still though spice this kind of like this. It would just be pretty much the same exact stat score we went with before, where we're focusing on finesse weapons and dexterity. I think it's still very viable, especially because we're going to go 10 levels into being a paladin. If you don't want to, you'd probably just drop this down and go like that. Something that kind of like gives you a little bit more into your strength so that you can get a little bit more out of that rather than going with the finesse route. But that's how we would go with just our first level of paladin, because we would start as a paladin. That's crucial, starting as a paladin. So at level 2, we get access to another fighting style, or a fighting style, depending on how we're going to approach this character, which gives us stuff like dueling or protection here, or defense, maybe great weapon fighting if you want to do that route. But we have plenty of stuff to kind of tap into. And we can have these spells prepared as we see fit. I kind of messed up our stat allocation here, but this is cool because we also get our divine smite. So we have all sorts of stuff set up here with our character. We're good to go. Now we jump into being a bard. You can take this to level 3 if you want to give you some additional stuff with nature, but I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to bard here. And I'm just going to, whatever this says, I'm just going to accept it as is. And we're going to push up here. And this is where I would go with Sword Bard. You know, I haven't brought this up in the video yet, but you also get Song of Rest. You and your allies are revitalized as though you would have taken a short rest. So it's basically a free heal as if it was a short rest, which is lovely. It's one of my favorite things about Bard. But as we progress into this, we're going to choose our Sword Bard. Where did I do that? There we go. Oh no, do this. There we go. And we can just choose another fighting style, right? Because we have one already chosen with our paladin. And we just kind of keep pushing through this. And as you progress through, we're now getting access to all of our fun stuff of being a bard, right? Go into all these things. Pick this. We get our feats. I'll just choose. I'm just pressing buttons. But now that we're level 5, well, we're level 7, but we're not Bard level 5. We now have the better Font of Inspiration. We have improved Bardic Inspiration, level 3 spell slots, which we can just go ahead and press all these buttons and do. We're going to go all the way up to level 9 here. When we get to level 6, we get all those great things. So we're getting our additional attack, which we would have gotten to if we were a level 6 paladin, but it's really crucial for all martial classes to get that access to that extra attack. We'll stop right here at level 7. Again, I'm just pressing some buttons, and we're good to go right there. So, now that we're all set, we have tons of abilities to take advantage of now that we are a Bard Paladin. We have our Lay on Hands for some healing capabilities. We have some Channel Oaths for our healing radiance. We have some spell slots we can take advantage of. Again, I messed my stats up on this character. I didn't realize what happened. But we get Shield as a reaction. We have all sorts of stuff here that we can just be using that we can take tons of advantage on. So we can upcast our Divine Smite as well. Or I'm sorry, there we go, Divine Smite. So if I have a melee weapon equipped, let me just go ahead and slap one on. You can see here that this does 1d3 plus 3, or 1d10 plus 3 plus 1d4 plus... I should probably actually put on a finesse weapon here for you. There we go. But I think we put our character into something. I think we put him into... Oh no, his strength is right. This has just been all sorts of messed up. Okay, we'll just do this. So there you go, 1d10 plus 4, 1d4, because it has force attached to it, but now 2d8 radiant, because I'm casting that all the way up onto a level 4 if I want. There you go, 5d8, there we go. So now Divine Smite just does a ton of damage as a sword bard. But we also have our defensive capabilities here with all of our special rolls and everything. So there are our flourishes. You have so much fun you can do with a paladin bard that you just could tap into so many different directions. And I strongly encourage you to flavor this how you want. Maybe go 6 and 6, maybe jump into Oath of Vengeance, whatever it is that makes the most sense for you and your bard. But that brings our video here to a close. So hopefully this helps you out in building out your bardic character, or maybe the character you have in mind for any of your companions. Paladin Bard, Bard Lock, whatever kind of combination you have in mind, maybe just a pure Bard, is a very fun class that like I've said before, you will take advantage of things in this class that you did not think you would do in the game. You're like, oh, wow, I can do that. That's kind of cool. That's kind of spiffy. So have a lot of fun with Bard because it is a lot of fun. And you can do a lot of really cool things to help you push your way through Baldur's Gate 3. If you have any suggestions of any kind of multi-classes or ways that you approach Bard, please let it be known in the comment section below. I'm always down for people to learn and have fun ways to approach the game that are different from what I may be recommended or what the internet is commonly telling them. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.